everyone, and welcome to Outspoken. I'm your host, Nigel Ashford. Joining us today is an interesting topic, life after porn. We have three well-known porn stars who are now retired and living different lives. But we always wanted to know what took place behind the camera. What were their struggles? What were their ups? What were their downs? And where are they now? And how are they trying to move forward with their lives? And we're here to report that they're here to tell us their stories. So joining us are these three individuals. Make sure you tune in. Hey guys, and welcome. How are you doing?
Great.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on, being vulnerable, sharing your stories, sharing what everyone doesn't see. We see the porn, we see the sex, we lust, we fantasize. But at the end of the day, you guys are all human beings. And you went through things that a lot of us don't know that took place behind the scenes and also are going through some things right now. So thank you so much for using my platform to speak your truth, to speak your life. All right, so I just want to introduce everyone. First, Edgar Gaines. We have E. Lamont, and we also have Devon. Again, guys, welcome. I want to first start off. Tell me where you're located. Devon, we'll start with you. Where are you now? It's Georgia, correct?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta. Well, east or west of Atlanta. Yeah.
And Edgar, where are you?
I'm in Atlanta.
Okay. And E?
I'm in New York.
All right. All right. So, and how do you guys all identify? One thing that people have about the assumption of people doing gay porn is that the person represents as homosexual, but that's not always the case. Everyone just knows that doing gay porn is actually more lucrative than doing straight porn. You get paid more. So, what do you guys identify, or if you identify at all? Devon?
I identify as strictly gay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And Edgar?
I would identify myself sexually from a sexual perspective, bisexual. I did both.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
I did both.
And E? Okay, and we lost E. And he'll be right back. Now, Edgar, you said you did both. Was that more lucrative for you?
I'm sorry, say that again now.
You said you did both. You did both straight and also gay porn as well.
Well, what I did buy movies.
Okay.
You have to remember, during the time that I did movies, there was no internet. You had VHS tapes. So porn was very big back then, a great demand. So I did, as I stated, I did buy movies, and I did gay movies.
Gotcha. Okay. And now that we have E back, E, what do you identify, or do you identify as nothing at all?
I won't say I identify as nothing at all. I just identify as me. I've been with both men and women, so if I had to choose, I guess I would have to say bi. But I'm at the end of the day, I feel like I'm me. I'm just, I don't think we should be defined by who we choose to love. We should just be defined by being human beings and being who we are. Period.
Awesome. So looking back, going back to the past, talking to yourself as teenagers or young adults, did you ever see any of you ever see yourselves getting into the adult industry? And what drew you into wanting to get into this industry And did you even see some adult figures as idols in some type of way? And anybody can start.
That on me. So my mic came on. I never saw myself doing porn. Actually, I wouldn't consider myself a porn star. I would consider myself a porn comet. I didn't stay in the sky. I kind of like boom, went across it. But for the 6 years that I was in the industry, um, it was something I never would have thought I would have seen myself doing. So no.
What about you guys?
My list, or even ever imagine a thought. To be truthfully honest, I didn't even watch porn before that. Not hardly ever. Um, and for me getting in the industry, I met someone that was in the industry by the name of Bam, and he wanted to do um men's underwear line at the time, and also tailor. And through someone else, that a mutual person that we knew, I was introduced with him to help him to start that. The next thing I know, I'm on set and I'm asked to do a photo shoot, and the rest is history as we know it.
And Edgar, what about you? Did you
To
ever
be
go?
honest, to be honest with you, uh, I would, when I was young, I would sneak away and I would go to the bookstores and I would look at the movies. And I stated to myself, I want to do porn someday. I never really thought that it would actually happen until I moved to Los Angeles, and I guess we'll go farther into that as the show go on. But um, I happened to be at Catch One, and a friend of mine, he said, "You know what? You're bored, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I tell you what, I'm going to take you to a place where you have a lot of fun." I said, "What is that?" He said, "It's a whole lot of military guys, and they're having sex, they're having a good time." And so it was Paul Hansen had a sex club on Triangle. And so I went there, I had an awesome time, and I guess I drew a crowd of people who began to focus on what I was doing. And on the way out, Paul, now this is some 20 some years later, all of this is happening. He asked me the question, he said, "Have you ever thought about doing porn?" And my friend said, "No, he never thought about that." So um, I just slid in my number. I didn't think that he would call, but he ended up calling. And I remember my first movie, it was with Gene Lamar. Um, a very good, powerful scene. I guess I blew the mind of the producers and the directors, and I had a good time. Let me just say that I had a good time.
What were you guys' thoughts and fears in saying yes to your first opportunity? And what were also those expectations? I mean, we see the video. In my mind, when I saw my first porn, and I was what, 12 or 13, I was like, oh, okay, they did one shoot and they just filmed these people having sex. And I've learned that that's not the case. There are expectations and long times and redo this and do this and do this from this angle. So what were your fears and expectations in saying yes to this job? E, we're going to start with you.
Um, I didn't I didn't walk into it having any expectation because I didn't know what at all to expect. Um, I just sort of know it was an offer, and there was numbers were talked, and it was additional income. And I was like, okay, let me see what happens, and it went from there.
D, what about you, Devon?
Um, so when I my first scene I did, I was a sophomore in college. And at the time I found out that the guy that I was with snuck out on me, or slept around or whatever. So I kind of did it as vengeance. I was offered an opportunity by a guy, long story, and he gave me a few days to think about it and run it through my brain, and I took the offer up, and that's how everything started with me. I did not expect to go for long that. I didn't expect. I really wasn't looking at it from the money angle. I was just looking at it from a vengeance type of way when I started.
Do you ever regret that decision?
Do I regret that doing porn?
Doing the decision of for vengeance.
It actually didn't really do anything. Like he turned on by it, and it was just like I didn't want you to be turned on. I wanted you to be mad. But I mean, it worked and it didn't, I guess.
What about you, Edgar? Did you have any expectations or any fears in saying yes to your first scene?
Well, boy, I let me say this. When I started doing it, that one movie I mentioned with Gene Lamar, I stated I was just going to do one movie because I was concerned about what my parents going to say, what would my friends say if they, you know, find out that I was doing porn. And so in my mind, I begin to think, if I just do one movie, it's less likely out of all of the movies that's being put out that they would run into my movie. But, it turned out after that first movie with Gene Lamar, I got offered a lot of money. And again, I came up in a different era, came up in a time when there was only VHS tapes. And the minimum was like 5,000 per scene. So individuals who have built a name for themselves, they could leave there with about $10,000 to $15,000 based upon the company that they work for. I work for Catalina. I work for Falcon. And very few blacks have ever worked for Falcon or Catalina. So what I did my research because I got invited to Adult Video World Conference in Las Vegas. And it gave me a great insight on the power and the authority that Bobby Blake had. And so realizing people would travel all over the world to come in to meet me. And so that empowered me. I realized that the producers, the industry needed me more than I needed them because I was the money maker. So I'm gonna end there, and then we'll go to the next question and connect.
Okay. And one thing that I just noticed that each of you said you were worried about someone feeling some type of way or knowing. Did any of you, were any of you dating or partnered or married to anybody when you decided to go into this industry? Because now it's not only affecting you, it's affecting them as well. What if you're scratching your head? I'm gonna
Well,
go to you
because
first.
I want to actually add to the question that was before this one about
Okay. Yes, go
how
ahead.
I felt. I didn't have an expectation, but I immediately remember the fact of I remember the night that I walked into it used to be called Loretta's. I think it was 708 at the time, and I'm standing at the bar buying a drink, and they play porn in the clubs, and I look up, and there I am in all my glory, and all of a sudden, everybody around me, everybody in the club, everybody at the bar, all of a sudden, it was all eyes on me, all whispers, all fingers pointed, and I ran the hell out of there. I literally got in my car and went back home because I did not know what to expect from people, and I didn't know that I didn't expect. I didn't think about the game of walking in the club, and there I am on the screen. I was at the time dating someone, and it did not affect that relationship at all in a negative because they knew they was aware of what was going on. So that was fine. It was more negativity came from other people, or when that relationship was over, or people that would see me out and about in the club or what have you, or in the city or what have you.
So
The
you're
the
saying
whispers,
the
the stare. Yes, the
chatter of
chatter. Oh,
other people.
I have people that will tell me, "Oh, I can't do it. I can't be with you. I can't do this because you do porn." And for a minute, it bothered me. It bothered me really, really bad. I have a person that lives in Atlanta that's still living that's very, very dear to my heart. Naisha Dupree, in Atlanta. I remember she came up to me one night. She said, "Don't ever let what these people say to you ever get to you again, because you're an entertainer." She said, "Most of these people that are having something negative to say about you, I guarantee you got you in the DVD player or the VHS or what have you at home and push and play when they get there." So, and I found that to be a very true statement, because there were incidents that have happened where it was a proven fact of what she said. So having that pep talk with her about how I felt, because I was asked that question, it helped me, and from then on, that no longer bothered me. I just walked in, who I was, and went with it.
So, when you are interested in someone, and let's say you go on a first date, is that one, and they ask, "What do you do?" Do you ever did you
Woo.
mention it ahead?
There was In the beginning, I didn't, and then I got to the point where I said, "Let me just tell you up front. Let me know where this is going to go in, so we don't waste each other's time." Because for a minute, I could not count. I'm gonna say this. I feel personally the ignorance of some people. To say to somebody, "Oh, I can't be with you because of this and that," and if you got to know me, you would understand. One, I treated me doing porn just like my regular 9 to 5, because I worked a regular 9 to 5. I did porn. I did other things. I had several different at that time revenue streams coming in. So when the
You're
camera
a
was on, it was
hustler.
on. When it was
Yeah.
off, I was off. And that's how I treated it. I gave it that respect, and for 10 years, I kept it. And outside of the community, I didn't have to deal with it. It would be a few times I might be at work or grocery store, what have you. Somebody would come up, and say different things or what have you. But it is what it is.
Gotcha. And Devon, you said that you were dating someone at the time, and you did it as revenge, and then they were turned on by it. So, doing porn, did it really affect your relationship at all?
Well, that relationship was done immediately after my first scene, and I actually didn't start back porn until 4 years later. But dating in my mid 20s at the time, it was very difficult because I'm a very honest person, and I tend to open up immediately when I meet someone. And yeah, I would tell them I'm a writer, I'm an actor, I did this, I did that, I did porn, my shoe size is this, and all they would hear is that you did
Oh,
porn.
did you try to slide it on in there? Like,
Well, no, because it's not the first thing you want to say, but it's not the last thing. But I do make it. I was making it a part of my introduction when I would meet guys, and that's the only thing that would stick to them. And then you would have to go into, then what's your name? Because as you guys probably know, I'm not one of the more well known guys like these two handsome guys are. I was just I try to make it as limited. My time as limited as possible. However, you do one and it's done data. Like, people will see you out and know who you are. But it did enforce heavy, let's see, heavy tactics on the way that I date. So I learned to not, if I like the guy, then I won't say it immediately until, like, date number two. And then I'm like, hey, just to let you know, blah blah blah. I'm not telling you what my name was, but this is what I did. It's not a part of my life. It's a part of what I did. Yeah, but it is hard to date with that on your resume.
so when you told them, did they have hesitations? What looks or or messages saying, "Hey man, I had a good time," or "Hey man, I didn't care"? Did you receive both, or did you
I
receive?
received literally from one end of the spectrum to the other. I received, "Oh, that must mean you're a freak." "Oh no, I can't do that because that must mean you're a hoe." And it's just like, damn, you really
Mm,
characterizing me just by some body of work that I did. Maybe you should go watch it, and then you can get your answer from there. But no, yeah, it's interesting dating. I'm not downplaying dating, but you see people's real colors when you're real upfront with them, and then you can see how mature they are about it as well. So it's definitely, I use it on my behalf and make it work for me.
All right. And Edgar, what about you in dating? I mean, you said you became the man. Can you hear me, Edgar?
Well, dating was not really hard for me. I think the most difficult thing was that because I traveled all over the world, porn had taken me all through Europe and everywhere. And because of the name I built for myself, it attracted sometimes the wrong attention.
Mm.
People wanted you just for sexual enjoyment. Let me say that. They did not want to get to know the real person, but they wanted to get to know Bobby Blake, the actor. And so, even today, I have swarms and swarms of people, and I've been at the business over 30 some years. Shit, I'm 63 years old. I'm done. I still have people who, because of my past, I'd like to get to feel, what they felt from Bobby Blake and et cetera, et cetera. Um, I don't let it bother me. I turn it into a very educational moment, you know. And also, I want to piggyback on what was said a minute ago. Um, I never allow what anyone said bother me. Um, Once I had that conversation with my family, and they accepted me and loved me, everybody else was most irrelevant. If my family loved me and accepted what others felt, again, was most irrelevant. And I say this, and I'm not saying it in an arrogant way, but I do know this. A lot of those people who make such statements, the only difference is that I was getting paid to have sex while they was hoeing free and not getting paid. And didn't have a dime in their pocket. I've seen it. Look, I'm 63 years old. I've seen a whole lot.
Mm.
So I don't allow what people say. It doesn't bother me. Matter of fact, your opinion is not my business. I don't allow it to be my business. I'm so focused on me as a person. But I want to piggyback on what they were saying. I never took anything they said seriously. The naysayers, um, you know, you'd be surprised. And let me say this also. They do a lot of sex parties, but sex parties originated up under Bobby Blake. There are times when, in connection with Latino, there were times at the sex party I would have, I remember I had one in Washington, D.C., over 1,000 people. Over 1,000 people. Now, some of those same folks that want to talk down on you while you're doing porn, but you done come up in this sex party and been dug in by 10 or 12 folks and you ain't got a dime. But I guess you got enjoyment, I can say that. So, people gonna say what they want to say. Never bother me. And, I want to encourage these guys, don't let it bother you.
Amen. Amen. What's the saying? Point one finger at you and three more point back. Okay, so one thing that I've always wondered, and I think a lot of people always wondered, the names. How does one come up with your name? E, I want to really start with you because I think when I was looking at it, I was like, sex. And I said, oh, sex C1. Oh, and I had a whole blonde moment, and I was like, makes sense. I get it. I get what he was doing. So how did you come up with your name?
How I came, it was kind of spur of the moment, and people used to always say that, hey, you're sexy, but I think it was, I can't remember exactly what I was doing. It was something I did where I was spelled the normal way, but I wanted it to be different and to stand out. And actually, when they started printing, putting the name on in movie titles or what have you, it's supposed to have been SEXCY, then a capital ONE to signify the separation, but somehow that got lost in translation, and it all became just capital S and then all lowercase. So I had people call and say, is this sex cone? And I was like, no, but that is where it came from. I didn't, like I said, I knew nothing. Here's the crazy thing is I knew nothing about porn. So for me, I kind of related it to the one thing I kind of knew a little about. Our names I heard was stripper names. So whereas that's why, and this is no joke, and I've never told this to Bobby. When I met Bobby, and I was like, Bobby Blake, I said, why he got this first and last name in porn? I'm thinking, like, I need a stripper name. So I said, okay, sexy one. That's what everybody says when they see me. And boom. So and then I got, I got a tattoo and roll with it, and it's been that way ever since. Hey, it worked.
Do you still have the tattoo of your name?
What am I getting rid of it for?
We have a whole visual. Since you said Bobby, where did this first and last name? You had a whole first, and why not a middle name? You had a first and last name. You were ready. You already knew.
Well, Bobby comes from my brother.
Okay.
Blake comes from a professional football player that I was dating.
Oh, wow.
I put those both together.
Okay. And it did you well. And honestly, when I looked at your movies, I honestly thought, I was like, oh, he's using his real name. Until I
would never use my real name, and not in a movie.
Not in the movie.
No.
What about you, Devon? Where you had the X. What were you escaping from, or were you the
Originally, my name was, I was in the house of LaBeija when I was 19, and my house name was Orion. So on my earlier videos, you can see Orion. I didn't go to Escape until I came back into the industry, and it was like a resurgence. It was like, I came back as a Phoenix. And I wanted to use Phoenix, but Phoenix was already taken twice on the straight and the gay side. And the guy that actually gave me the name was the videographer, the guy who was in charge of the set. He's like, oh, you should be Escape. And I was like, that's the name of a group. And, he was a white guy, so apparently I don't think he knew that. And then I was like, well, why don't we shuffle the letters so it's Googleable? So that's when I changed the name, because I didn't want it to be Escape like the group. It was SKAPE, and I ran the road with that. And that's how I came up. That's the origins of Escape.
All right. Okay, guys, we're gonna go to a quick commercial, but when we come back, we're gonna have more from Edgar, Elamont, and also Devon. We'll be right back with Outspoken. Stay tuned.
It's time to step up, prep up.
Step up, prep up.
To help keep you free from the risk of HIV.
From the makers of Truvada, there's another PrEP option, Descovy for PrEP, a once-daily prescription medicine that helps lower the chances of getting HIV through sex. It's not for everyone. Descovy for PrEP has not been studied in people assigned female at birth. Talk to your doctor to find out if it's right for you.
Step up for health and body.
Prep up for your one and only love, or many loves. For kings, this queen, and you royals in between. For my now.
Our now.
And my future.
Our future.
Step up, prep up. Descovy is another way to prep. Descovy does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections, so it's important to use safer sex practices and get tested regularly. You must be HIV negative to take Descovy for PrEP, so you need to get tested for HIV immediately before and at least every 3 months while taking it. If you think you were exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. They may check to confirm you are still HIV negative. Serious side effects can occur, including kidney problems and kidney failure. Real-life threatening side effects included buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. The most common side effect was diarrhea. Tell your doctor about all the medicines and supplements you take, or if you have kidney or liver problems, including hepatitis. If you have hepatitis B, do not stop taking Descovy without talking to your doctor. Ask your doctor about your risk of HIV, and if Descovy for PrEP is right for you.
Words are loud, but actions are louder.
Step up.
Prep Up.
With Descovy for PrEP.
Get help paying for Descovy for PrEP. Learn more at stepupprepup.com.
Style disaster coming at you.
Hello, everyone. I am here with Edgar, Devon, and E. Lamont, Life After Porn. We're just going over some things that they went through behind the scenes of the industry, getting into the industry, being in the industry, and we're going to continue on. One thing that I really wanted to talk about, when I was doing my research, one topic of health kept coming up with a lot of the porn stars, female and male. A lot of them talked about, even though they were checked for STDs, HIV, of these things, some of them still ended up getting an STI, syphilis, hepatitis, and a lot of these things nowadays, people are not using condoms. Were there any type of precautions that you and your co-stars had to take before you entered a scene or even the movie? Devon, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. I think I came in a little later after these guys. I definitely came in at the Bobby. He was the first gay porn star I've ever seen. He was like, "Oh, the VHS. I put it in by mistake, and my life changed anyway." But all the companies I worked for, I've never gotten checked. I've always inquired about it, and they're like, "Okay, just sign the paper and say that you got checked." And I'm like, "Okay," which is why I've never had raw sex on film. But honestly, it's always been swept under the rug, never talked about it, and that you just move on and get your money at that point. So yeah, it's never been talked about on my behalf.
Oh, wow. E, is that normal
For me, I won't say that it's normal, because for me, I came about when we had to use condoms. So I came about while we used condoms, and I left right before this change became of everything raw, so to speak. So there was never an issue or concern for me and the folks that I worked with at that time, because we followed those rules, because they applied at that time, I guess.
And E, there was no Truvada. There was no prep. There was no anything that would keep.
We didn't. I did, in the sense of that we were, we had condoms on and were using them. So I guess it really never became a conversation unless something happened in someone else's personal life that maybe came up or something like that. But for me, I didn't hear anything in regards to that much.
But did they ask you to get checked before you did a scene and ask for evidence of being checked for any HIV or STDs?
At that time, no.
Okay. And what about you, Edgar?
So during the time I was doing porn, it was mandatory. You had to get tested. There were times when you got tested 2 and 3 times a week. If I was working for Catalina, one day, maybe Falcon, another day, Marina Pacific, it depends on how many movies you were doing. But, we had to get tested. It was mandatory. Now, there was one company, I think it was Big Ten, I forgot the name of it. They had their own personal doctor, and the doctor was falsifying the medical records, and they got caught. They got shut down. They got fined. So during the time I was doing porn, they took it very seriously. You had to get tested.
So going over, just hearing this, I wanted to know, does it have to do with the time or generation, or do you think it has to do with corporation for instance, Devon, you said they falsified your document and said that you did get checked. But and E, you said they didn't care as long as you wore a condom. And Edgar, you said it by their standards, yes, you have to do this. Do you think it's corporation by corporation based? Devon, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I definitely think it's whoever companies under the companies that I worked for were umbrella companies. They were under other people. So can I just throw a name out there just for?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Thugzilla. So Thugzilla worked for, I can't remember his name, but he worked under him. So the guy didn't really check on whatever he had to do with his models. Thugzilla just wanted work done. So he would have us just sign a paper. He barely didn't want us to do that. He wanted us to sign a paper and then get to work. And my thing was I would question, I got looked at weird because I would question things like this. Like, first of all, we have to, I mean, I don't want to sign this and it's telling me, you know, that I got tested and I'm sitting here having sex with models and he wanted me to have raw sex. So I got fired. My last gig, I got fired because I wasn't doing any raw sex. I mean, that's a deal breaker right there, especially if I have no history of the people that I'm working with. That's dangerous. And he could have got sued for that. Like I almost, you know, it's crazy what people do in the industry for a quick buck. But I do admire those bigger companies that do take care of their models. They do. I know they exist. I just never worked for them.
E, can you piggyback off of that? Their policy, as long as you did condoms, you're fine.
Well, see, and see that was I can only assume that for my time when I was in, because it was very prevalent. They were always on sale. We always had them. I believe that maybe it did not become questionable because of that case. I don't know, but all I can say is I was never asked to provide anything. I was never, none of that. And it never became an issue. I just know that there is not a movie that I've done where it wasn't, I didn't protect myself or anyone else that was in it. So that's the only thing I could say. And I did a lot of my work was under Bacchus, and I did some work for Enrique Cruz and some other people. And I mean, everybody. I guess for me it was just the mindset and how I handled it. Like I said, I treated it as my job. So to me, that was a tool that was required for part of my job. So in order for me to do my job successfully, I have to have all my tools in place.
Let's talk about preparation. When going into this industry, did they give you any prerequisites? Especially, and I know it's different for tops and also for bottoms. You're in there for hours, using your body for, and Devon, do you consider, when you were doing the videos, were you top, verse, or bottom?
I was top. I never got bottomed on screen.
On screen. And E, from your videos, and Edgar, from your videos, I saw top as well. Did they ever suggest that you take something to prolong the action of having sex for hours so you can stay erect? Devon, I'll let E, you want to go first? You want?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think it was ever something that anyone was required to do. And I will say this: that one, if you really know the actual how an actual porn movie is actually filmed and put together, there were times when if I felt that I needed something, I know I could go and get it. Most 99% of the time, I didn't have to have anything. If let's say that I had a shoot the next day and that night I went out and hung out with friends and I was out late or what have you, and had to spend time with my significant other, then yeah, maybe. But there were things available if needed, but it was never pressed on. It was never required.
Awesome. And Edgar, what about you?
You know what? I've never used anything. I never smoked. I never did drugs. I don't drink. I just had fun. So no, I never had to use anything. Now the bottom person might have had to use something to relax. Uh, but for me, I think you have to. Let me put it this way. What you saw on film, you saw me. I just used the name Bobby Blake. So I didn't have to go into this rehearsal or this acting mode. I enjoyed doing what I was doing. So I didn't need all this, whatever the extra stuff to get me hard. If I didn't find you attractive, I wasn't going to do the movie with you. And I can say that because remember, I said earlier, when I found out I had the power, they needed me more than I needed them. So I remember there was a shoot in Los Angeles, and they flew this guy from Atlanta up there. He was supposed to be this awesome guy. But when I saw him and his feet was ashy, I said, you might well fly him back down. Maybe it ain't happening. You just lost your money. So, I kind of, that's just, I use the power and authority that I have. There were times, and you're talking about the time frame of a movie shoot. I was not going to stand there all day. I made good money in maybe 2 hours. I don't, let's get this done and, get out of here. There was a movie shoot where Paul Barresis, I'm going to call that name out. Don't know if he's still on the planet Earth or not. If he is, he's probably 100 now. I'm 63, he's 100. He wanted this motion picture movie. I think it was called Iron Cage or something. And, I'm used to taking box cover photos in probably about 10, 15 minutes. Baby, he went for almost an hour. I said, look, we're done with this. No, we're not. I said, oh, yes, we are. I said, you're going to write that check and we're going to get out of here. The cameraman was looking like, I said, you write his damn check too, because we out of here. You don't know who you're dealing with. I said, yeah, okay. I said, but you better write that check. He wrote the check and we left. I didn't have time to waste. I just want to throw that out there because you mentioned about, time and weighing your body down. That was not me. I could have been, we come up in a different era. And I wanted to ask the guys something, but we were talking about the names earlier. During my time, you look at J.C. Carter, Richard Reyes, they use names. But I look at these guys today, I don't know where they get these names from. I just don't know. And I try to talk to them too. I took porn and used it from a business aspect that it even take care of me today. I got a book deal. And so, I only stayed in there actually about 3.5 years. Folks thought I stayed there much longer, but that's not the case.
Okay. And Devon, did I ask you a question?
What was the question again? I'm sorry. What was the question? It was about the pills, right?
Yes, I wanted to know, did you have to, and also I would love to know those who were bottoming for you, did you see what they had to go through, such as maybe not eating for the whole day and starving themselves, or maybe just trying to numb themselves out the entire day and just be present. Well, not be present in the moment, just their body's there and they're just out of it.
Let me say, I am so jealous of you, Bobby, because I wish I had the authority to be like, I don't like the way he looks. Bring in the next one. Like the things I had to go through with people I did not find attractive. So I was glad they offered me option for me to get hard, because it was very hard for me to get hard on set. It's very hard for me to come on set, because a lot of people that hooked me up with were a lot of new people, a lot of people that, even though I was in the auditioning phase at the time, I kind of jumped that. They had a lot of fresh faces that I had to like deal with, and they gave me something called a Silver Sword. At the time, it wasn't with approved by FDA. This is circa 2008, I think, and it's like Viagra, but on Viagra, and they say, make sure you like it's, take care of myself like I'm on Viagra, but it lasts over like 3 days, and there were two different pills, and when you want to get hard, you would get hard, and so luckily they gave me that, because otherwise I would have been fired a while longer, way longer ago. But that's they did offer that, and another one I can't really remember, but I did take the Silver Sword, and it did help out a lot.
Gotcha. One aspect I do want to talk about it, and that's mental health. Did you ever, in doing this industry, go through depression, anxiety? Some of us suffer. I did my research. A lot of things that was going through a lot of people's mind was body issues. Constantly, does my body look okay? Am I gonna be in this forever, or how long do I have in this industry, or what's next? We do find a lot of people who are going through homelessness or who doesn't have anything else to do, that this is their only option. So did any of you guys ever go through that depression phase or even suicidal thoughts? I'm gonna go with you, E. Oh, well, I'm gonna go with you, Devon.
Oh, so me.
Yeah.
Sorry. Uh, I did see why people felt that way. Fortunately for myself, I'm a very strong individual. I am a Leo, and that incorporates a lot within me. But I was more worried that at the time when I started doing it, I didn't have a vision of where I wanted to go in life. And it wasn't until I started doing that that I realized that I wanted to be in entertainment, I wanted to be in acting, I wanted to be in writing. But because I have done this, that one video, because I've done that, I felt like everything was gone the fuck off the rails. Like I didn't have a chance. I had to find a new career path. I didn't tell my family. My friends found out through BGC when they would, advertise us on BGC. They found out that way, but it was just a lot of I don't uncertainty as far as I don't want to be in this industry. I'm just using it for a ladder, and now I feel like I'm getting locked into the industry. So I need to capitalize off of that. It was a lot of back and forth with myself. So in order for me to save myself mentally, I did have to remove myself, from the industry as a whole, and that's why my career was very much just like one two done. I didn't really. I'm sure I could have. I could have. I did get offers to go to LA and everything, but it was just like, whoa! I just came here to dance. That's it. And but yeah, I could see why a lot of people. I worked with a lot of porn stars. They were actually porn stars that were homeless, and that you would see on this is before Instagram, I guess MySpace or whatever. They were just living it up, in the club. As long as they had notoriety, people knew their names. They were okay with that. Even though they were making chump change, they were okay with people. If I know you, then that's good enough for them. And that wasn't where I wanted to go. And that was a big part of why I made the decision I made, is because I was looking at myself through their eyes. So but yeah, I could definitely see why people would be depressed, and it's a very depressing industry. I did, I was told I needed to work on my body because at the time I was like skinny as fuck, and I did hit the weights and everything, but I was like, why am I doing this for them? Like, I did it for myself, still do it, but it is engraved in you when you're in that industry.
And E, after doing this for, what did you say, approximately 10 years, did it ever
Hmm.
wear on your mind and on you
Um,
mentally?
it did, and that's why I left. And I left probably at the point where I want to say I was at a very good place. I was being offered my own website. I was being offered There were a lot of different deals on the table when I decided to leave. And I left because not only was I was working a full-time job, I was doing porn, I was, dancing and escorting and traveling and everywhere. And I got tired of it because it was the same. I wanted something. I felt like there was something missing and I wanted more. I wanted something else because I did that. I miss the money flow. That I miss. But I didn't miss because people can treat you bad and they can say negative things. And as much as we want to be that positive person and not allow those things to affect us at that time, in some places that I've been at that time, it did affect me because when I turned that key and went home and was by myself and you would approach somebody and, oh, I can't do it because you do porn or, whatever it was, or you had a client that turned into a stalker and they wanted something that you couldn't give to them. And your job at that time, at that moment, is to sell whatever it is that they want to provide that to them. I got to a place where I needed to be able to be me and be able to not be under those things. I did well. I never really had, I don't have a whole lot of bad stories. The producers I worked with were great. Edward James was excellent. Marvin Jones, Enrique, everybody. I did, fortunately for me, and I think it goes because of the mindset that I personally carry. I treated it like work. I wasn't doing porn to support a habit or to, pay my portion of the rent in a house with 4 or 5 other people. I have my own place. I live by myself. I had maybe one roommate, but I was, the primary person. I think I came in it a little differently. Like I said, I was supposed to do help Bam with a clothing line. And here's the bad side for me, I say at that time, was because truthfully, I liked the attention that I got. Oh, you gonna pay me to take my picture and you like how I look? Because I had my own personal inner self-esteem issues that I had to navigate through. And so what porn did on some level for me is, in some ways, it created or allowed me to gain or have that confidence that I should have had. That's what Sexy One brought to me that people didn't know that I didn't have. And maybe that was one of the reasons why when I looked up in Loretta's and saw me on the screen, I ran up out of there because I was like, oh my God. Because we sometimes tend to be our own worst critic. I've watched my movies and looking at it and nope, I don't want to watch that. Oh, I don't like the way I look there. Da, 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 da. So being in the industry now, it does come with, you have to, you got to have that look, that sales, whatever that thing is that drives you, that's keeping you there. You have to be able to maintain that and keep that going. And, luckily for me, I'm just me. And what you saw, to piggyback off of what Bobby or Edgar said, I just was being me, but there was that me that people didn't get to see. You didn't get to see that personal side of me on the camera because I knew I had to make sure that I sold that to keep, my, whatever revenue I had coming in. And I wish I had some of the deals that Bobby had. I applaud him. He's one of the people that I say that I wish that we could step into the industry and change the gamut and make it the way it was for Bobby, for everybody, to make it an equal playing field. Because and I didn't know to ask for certain things. I have a movie that I directed, edited, and put out one. And God bless the dead, Marvin Jones is now deceased. That was a person I did that with, and that was right after I made the decision in 2006 to leave the industry. And it wasn't because I couldn't perform. I wanted something different. And I left. I gave, my spot to someone else because I was offered to move to Florida to do a website, the whole 9 yards, but I didn't want those strings on me. I was used to being able to, as Bobby said, call my own shots, come and go as I please. Now, to echo what he said in the beginning, if I had a choice in who I worked with, I didn't really realize it. I was under the impression because, by movie 4 or 5, oh no, if I didn't want to work, no, I can't do it. And that's where it was. But I think it was because I had a very professional mindset and I was spoken about. If you wanted me there, I was there on time. I did what I had to do. And as Bobby said, I'm on the door. We're not gonna be here all day. You know, I give you like the average 2 hours tops, but the rest, I got other stuff to do. You know, so and that's how I got there.
And what about you, Edgar? Did you experience any mental, emotional hardship in doing this for so long?
Well, as I stated, I did porn, for about 3.5 years. I used it, from a business perspective. Um, I knew what I was doing, paid for my education, got 2 degrees. Um, I never, as I stated, allowed what others say to affect me. Um, and, I realized that I was going to be confronted with naysayers, uh, people who are going to be saying negative things. But one thing in life I've learned that if you focus on where you're going and not on what's being said about you, I even stopped people who were in my circle from telling me what the lodgers were saying. That was not my business. What my business is to get my education. And that's what I did. Let me share something with you. And I, had great jobs. I have my own company today, doing consulting work at a $70,000 a year pay rate, which is pretty decent. But let me say this to you. Um, Knowledge is very powerful. And you've heard this before. They repossess cars, they take, they foreclosure on homes and they take those from you. But one thing they cannot do is take knowledge. And so I've always believed in education. And I got this job and I did a superb job. I got called into the office by the vice president and the president. And I guess this was about 6 months, into the job. And they stated to me, they said, well, we want to make sure you're comfortable. I'm like, in my mind, what do you mean? Well, we know you used to do porn. So, okay. Well, I said, okay. I said, but I'm fine. We really love what you're doing. You're doing a great job. And, been with the company for years, great reputation. Again, it's not where I've been or what others think of me, but it is what I think of myself and where I am going that makes the difference. I do not allow others to define me or define my destination. And I try to encourage, those who got this, I guess, my page of whatever this thing they got going on. Don't take the money and abuse it. If you're going to do that, make some investments. Get your education because it's not going to last always. You need to have something to fall back on. And I think that's what lacks today. So as far as me, I always kept it on the business level. I met people from all over the world. I'm going to be honest with you. I had a guy from Canada that I never met that gave me $15,000. Never met him. Never met him. Because of the name Bobby Blake. I have come in contact with a whole lot of folks. Whole basketball, football players, and celebrities. But when I wrote my book, I did not put anybody's name in there. I don't believe when folks entrust you with their personal life, a sense of it. I don't believe in violating that trust. You try to sell a book. And by the way, if you go on Amazon and try to purchase Bobby Blake's story, the book overseas is $700 and $800. And here I think it's 100 and something. And that book is over 10 years old.
Oh,
It's
wow.
all about marketing, baby.
Amen. Words from Bobby. All right, guys,
All about
we're gonna go to a quick commercial, and then we'll be right back.
For people living with HIV, keep being you and ask your doctor about Biktarvy. Biktarvy is a complete one-pill, once-a-day treatment used for HIV in certain adults. It's not a cure, but with one small pill, Biktarvy fights HIV to help you get to and stay undetectable. That's when the amount of virus is so low, it cannot be measured by a lab test. Research shows people who take HIV treatment every day and get to and stay undetectable can no longer transmit HIV through sex.
Serious side effects can occur, including kidney problems and kidney failure. Rare, life-threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. Do not take Biktarvy if you take dofetilide or rifampin. Tell your doctor about all the medicines and supplements you take if you are pregnant or breastfeeding, or if you have kidney or liver problems, including hepatitis. If you have hepatitis B, do not stop taking Biktarvy without talking to your doctor. Common side effects were diarrhea, nausea, and headache.
If you're living with HIV, keep loving who you are and ask your doctor if Biktarvy is right for you.
Lifestyle disaster coming at you.
Hey guys, welcome back to Outspoken. Joining us is Edgar, Devon, and Elamont, retired porn stars who are telling us everything that took place in their past and now is also telling us what took place in their present. Now, guys, I would love to know, I feel like we all go through it, no matter what industry we're in, is some type of racism, some type of prejudice. Some type of racism and some type
she ain't sure.
some type of racism.
Hey, man, I'm gonna take care of them. I'm all about business. It's marketing.
Edgar, we're gonna start with you then.
Baby, y'all gonna have a go. Get your hundreds.
Especially when you were one of the first African American gay porn stars. I know you had to go through some type of red tapes and barriers due to the color of your skin. Can you explain that to me? Did people ever discriminate against you? Did they ever short you of your money and give someone who was Caucasian more? Did you ever experience any type of racism or discrimination back in the 90s or in the 80s doing these films?
You mean for discrimination in the business?
Yes, sir.
Let me say this. I'm one that's a team player, and I talked about this in my book. There was a whole lot of racial discrimination going on in the porn industry. I didn't really get that at me, and what I mean by that, they paid me pretty good. I remember we did a shoot one afternoon, and after that shoot, everybody got their check, and we had gone to the bank. It was Gene Lamar, Paul Hansen, Richard Rail, a couple other ones, and I happened to be in the back, and I'm looking at these checks that they have in their hand. I'm like, ooh, they nickel and dime them. So after that, I had a conversation with them, and informed them, you need to stand up and get what you worth. So as far as money, a lot of discrimination, not so much against myself, because man, I'm gonna be honest with you. If they could have got rid of me and paid a lot of money, they would have done it. Because I just was not one to sit back and allow someone to walk over me or to say things in the wrong manner. Now, if you did that, you pay the price. I did a movie, and one of the co-stars of that movie said something about African Americans, and he had to do a scene with me, and I intentionally sent him to the hospital.
What exactly did he say?
It was something because it was something related, belittling the black porn star, and he was black himself.
Oh, wow.
But he happened to be one who likes Caucasian. And so I intentionally sent him to the hospital after the shoot. No, during the shoot, he had to go to the hospital. He had to go and get sewed up.
Did he try to sue
He doesn't
you?
fill out his shit, baby. I did that intentionally. I wrote that in my book.
Did he try to sue you for assault?
I'm sorry?
Did he try to sue you for assault?
No, I'm just, you can handle things more than one way.
Oh.
You don't have to say nothing, especially I knew he was going to do a shoot with me.
Oh, okay. I understand now. I get what you're saying. What about you, E? You grew up in an era, but one thing I did notice, E, you were filming with a lot of African Americans in the African American industry. Did you ever try to break into a Caucasian or mixed industry, and was it hard, Lamont?
Well, I mean, there were several scenes that I've done, but I never looked at it as I need to go contact this company, that company. I just went with, outside of, I basically, the way I went with those that reached out to me. And at that time, I didn't think about it in that aspect. I mean, because I had, I had constant work. And so for me, what I had at that time was okay and was enough for me. But, in retrospect, there are things that I've thought about, there are things that I know now that had I known back then would have definitely been differently. I definitely, would have fought for making sure that I had something set up to where I got royalties from the work that I've done. I mean, I've been gone for 10 years and it's still I can still find me. And I've seen, I was just amazed. Like I remember when I retired a year later, I won an award for Porn Star of the Year. I was like, I've been gone for at least a year. And I said, okay, thank you. Nominated for giving and all that stuff. But I just, at that time, like I said, at that time, because for me, it was supplement, it was additional income to what my primary job. And so I didn't really think about the growth point until there were offers presented to me, like I said, for a website and all that stuff. And I knew that would have provided that, but I did not feel comfortable with the guidelines of giving up my home and stuff that I have for myself and moving and living on a set. And I got to follow this schedule to be there. What if I don't want to work that day? Because the way I had it set up, if I didn't want to work, I didn't have to, so I was okay with where that portion was. And I was unsure about, how am I going to know what revenue is being generated? Because I remember when Marvin presented me the deal to start my own line, and I did the one movie that I edited, directed, picked up the whole 9 yards. But then I began, like, how do I know for sure that the information that's been provided to me is, accurate? I don't have an accounting firm or somebody that's going to come in and be able to look at his books and make sure everything. And although I didn't have any issues with him, I just still, that's how my mind thinks, because I'm the type of person, I need to know and make sure that all my money is in order. And if this is what you owe me, because I managed myself. When I was in, I did everything myself. If I was stripping, I did it myself. If I escrow contract, I handled all that stuff myself. There was not another company. There was not somebody else, because I believe that I was my own boss and I worked for my own name and I put myself out there. And so I managed it. And the aspect of putting myself in a situation and having to trust somebody else in regards to, no, I didn't feel comfortable with that at that time, so.
What about you, Devon? I know you did deal mostly with African American corporations or industries, but what did you ever experience any type of prejudice or racism in doing the videos, or did you ever try to break into Caucasian spaces and
Yeah.
quit there?
Actually, yeah. I did 2 interracial videos. And that's actually when I found out what Tina was. The guy that the other bottom guy, it was his first day, and he was doing that drug in the bathroom to get prepared for the shoot. after he was the Caucasian guy, and then I did a Hispanic guy, and then everybody else was black. But outside of that, you know, when I was I wouldn't even say escorting, I was just like using my name. I was being fetishized. Is that the word? I was being fetish. I was looked at as a fetish by white guys. And when I looked around, I realized that's what was going on these days. Like we were looked at as ultimately prey, but they would offer whatever you wanted, and we would take them because we were gullible. But I didn't experience like racism, but in the back of my mind, I'm wondering if that really was racism because they packaged it a different way. Maybe I incorporated it differently, but the other ethnicity kind of guys that I dealt with, because they knew of my porn history, they did treat me the same. And I don't think that's a good thing because they all had their own. They had tactics and ways they would approach me, and I realized that's what that was. After I had a long talk with a friend, they're like, I think they don't like black people, and they're ultimately trying to get you to do drugs and so and so. So but like racism to me on set, never.
Okay. Well, I would love to know, guys, and coming down to our last couple of questions, when did you say enough was enough? I'm done. Um, and was it hard to quit? Devon, I think you raised your hand first. When did you guys say enough is enough? I got what I needed, but I want to do something else.
Enough was enough when I was offered all kind of drugs and I took them, and I realized that this is gonna be something that I'm gonna regret. I'm never gonna be Denzel Washington if I'm here, if I'm stuck here. Like automatically, I knew that my life was handicapped when I involved myself with that situation. So regardless, I had to take myself out. So the earlier the better. But it was really the time when I got suspended because I wanted to wear a condom, and I couldn't do unprotected sex without knowing the models were negative, or if they're having me sign this paper, I don't know what they have them signing, and they wanted me to do that. It was just like, you know what, I know my worth, and it's not worth it. It's not worth my life. So that's when I found the exit door.
Gotcha. What about you, Lamont? When did you say I'm done? Enough is
I'm,
enough.
I'm, I'm actually, for me, enough was enough. I wanted something. I wanted something different. I wanted something more. It became level routine to me. Like I said, because it's kind of like, when you work for a company and you've been there 10 years, you want growth to something else, and the things that were being offered to me they may have been a door, a stepping stone to something, more or what have you. But like I said, it wasn't until I got with Marvin that anybody, said to me, that sat down with me, where I learned how to film a movie, add the music, pick my models, come up with my storyline, pay my models, the whole 9 yards. And I did it in that one. But enough was enough. I wanted something more. And like I said, when I left in 2006, that was it. And I'm listening to Devon, listening to the things that he's saying, and I'm like, damn, where did I live in a box? Because the things that he went through, they were never an issue for me. They were never presented to me. And I don't know, maybe because, like I said, I had peers, people that I knew that I work with, but I didn't go to everybody's functions and all that other stuff. I was a person. When it was over, deuces, I'm going home. I have something else, or something else that I got to work, or I got to go to something else that I had to do. So I didn't, you get what I'm saying? I didn't, any dealings that I had with anything like that, they were after the fact, well after the fact. I didn't have to, and I wish he was that you know, kind of he was around when I was around some of the people that I work with, because we didn't have to deal with those things. It was never an issue. Now I can't speak for everybody and what they were doing in their personal life on their time, but for me, I presented myself a certain way. I knew who I was. I knew what I had got myself into to represent, and I always presented myself that way. I always got positive feedback from any of the fans or persons that I met. You know, they would say, I met so and so and he was this and he was rude and he was that. My thought was, no, these people they're what was driving this extra income for me, and they're my fans. So it's my job to be respectful to them, be mindful to them. Now, don't disrespect me. Don't say nothing wrong, because then you're gonna see another side of me. However, I was always taught, you treat a person how you want to be treated. And I always give my fans and people respect. Even to this day, people still come up to me that might recognize my face when I'm out wherever or what have you. I'm still respectful to people, because at the end of the day, even though that's a chapter that's closed in my life, so that I still know that that's a part of the dynamic of who I am as a person. It's not all of me, but it's a part of who I am, and that for me, it helped me grow in an area of my life that maybe I should have grown in before that, but it helped me achieve that and get there. So,
gotcha. Thank you for that, E. And Edgar, enough was enough. You said that, and I know money.
Well, I just, I've always had this concept, talk about business. I've always wanted to go out on top. And that was my thing.
Yeah.
I've watched guys who strip. And some of them been stripping for 15, 20 years. I done seen your ass naked about 100 times. It ain't no more you can show me any difference. And I just wanted to go out on top and move forward with my life. I'd rather not be asked down, but just come down on my own. That was, I guess that was my thing for moving on. Again, wanted to use it as a business, and I left while I was on top. I thought that was important, and wrote a book, got a book deal, some other deals. And let me say this, I'm very, very appreciative of the support, because if it wasn't for the people who support you, you mean nothing. And, all over this world, some countries I never heard of, much love, much support. Let me say this also, I can remember when Black Interest was in existence. And when I was doing porn, I was not allowed to get my own mail. My mail had to go through Black Interest and go through my agent. I was stalked. You'd be surprised, they would put me in these high expensive hotels when they fly me in for different events, and trying to keep me safe. I'm not a scared person, but come in and up under the door, there's a note. If I can't have you, nobody else will. I had a very close call in Atlanta when thousands of people were outside. It was me and my two god kids, and this guy grabbed me from the back, and he was hollering, Bobby Blake, Bobby Blake. And I'm not looking for a whole lot of attention. And so I thought, he was just playing. Shoot, that guy had a knife, and he was talking about, what? If I can't have you, nobody will. And so, I realized, some of these folk take things a little bit too serious. You on top, get out of the way, and let the young folk have it.
Awesome. So after you guys were done with everything, did anyone ever try to use your history in porn against you? Devon?
Yes. Yes, and it's exactly what I expected. Everyone has a hater. I treat everybody the same. I treat everybody with dignity and love and respect. And I knew that when I pursued my career that I actually wanted to pursue, which is, entertainment, that would be haunting me. And it did come up. Luckily, I got in front of it, so it didn't really affect anything. But it's just it goes to show that um, you could be like Michael Jackson and somebody's gonna just try to take you down. I really see that for myself now. So, and that's what really held me back all these years from pursuing my dreams, is because I was worried about what people would say, if people would find out. And now that people know, I mean, I can't really hold that against myself, because like these guys said, we did it, not y'all. We got paid to do what y'all do for free. So I've taken on that persona of, you know what, I did it, and so what? What are you gonna do? Fight me? Like, the only thing you can do is tell people I did porn. Okay, but did you do it? So that's where I lie with that. So I don't let it affect me, but it has been able to seep into my life somehow.
What about you, Edgar? Did anybody ever try to use the industry against you?
Well, I mean, it made those attempts, but again, I'm not, it doesn't bother me. I paid no attention. Um, I've always been somewhat of a strong-minded person, and I don't allow others, to dictate where I'm going. What they say affect me to the most. I just don't do that. I'm in control.
Gotcha. And what about you, Lamont?
Yes. And it's still a very, very, very sensitive and touchy subject for me, because yes, I went out the industry. I got married and I had 2 kids, and I told my ex-wife everything from like the first time we were married when I was 18, that I been with men. When we were apart for 15 years, got back with her, I told her that I did porn, escort, all that stuff. And she did some very hurtful things and tried to take and go to court and portray me as some sexual deviant that didn't need to have my children, to get my son taken away from me, because the courts had given me sole custody at the time, and I did not ask for this. And it's still an ongoing issue. I got a 6-year-old daughter and just a 13-year-old son. And I never thought that the person that I was the most transparent with and very honest about with everything would be the person to betray me the worst and act like she didn't know, to go in our home and find where she had went online and wrote down titles of movies and dates. And what are you looking up this information for? You knew about this, but betrays the people in her family and everybody, like she didn't know anything. And it's been very, very difficult to deal with, because it's still an ongoing battle. But yes, it did. And the one part, my family. Let me say this. I want to say it like this. I kept my life so separate, and it wasn't that it was so separate, because I've never tried to hide anything from anybody. But my family is my family. You get what I'm saying? I was grown as an adult, living in another city or state, so I worked a regular job, and that's what everybody knew. There wasn't, to me, I came up in an era where everything had everybody's business. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't that I was trying to keep it from anybody, but I damn sure didn't want it to be my ex-wife, the children, my mother, to say all these things in a fashion to make it look as if I had lived some double life and lied to her, which I didn't. And I can prove it, but I didn't. And so yes, that would be the part, and that's been the most damaging thing. I'm giving myself back in a space, because that literally destroyed me, like period. Because I didn't leave the industry for her, because we were already apart. But that's something that I thought was missing. Maybe was my children, and maybe I went back to that situation, and I have 2 beautiful babies, and I wouldn't trade them for nothing in the world. However, the hurt and the betrayal from her has made trusting and dealing with people, it's worse than what I dealt with from the people who said, "Oh, I can't be with you because you do porn." And here it is I got the person that said that they loved me and cared about me, and that didn't matter. And you turn around and lie to me and leave me and divorce me and go through all this drama and try to portray me as this person that I wasn't, because my kids weren't around. I would never ever, my life, if I was in porn right now, why would my children be a part of that? Why would they be around it? That's something totally separate, and I would dare not. But hurt people, and no matter what you're dealing with in life, there's things we have to deal with. I'm rebuilding and becoming a better person, because that I don't necessarily go into all the details, but it destroyed me, because I had made a decision to be with her.
Right.
And everybody around me knew it, and it wasn't something I was hiding. I did it the right way. I told her the truth about every damn thing. And to lie and say you don't know, it's like I'm looking at her like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right.
And unfortunately, we live in a society where it comes to things like that, when they involve children, that court sometimes tend to believe the mother, or they always tend to make the man the aggressor. And I had to go through waiting for the police reports to be revealed. Oh, she said that I put my hands on her, but go down here further, you see what she told the police I did, and she recanted. I've gone through so much in that aspect, and like I said, it's still in a way ongoing, because it hasn't closed, because it's not done yet. But yeah, and it's a hurt. I can't even put it into words. I'm better today than I was when it first happened, because I went through a lot of emotions. I wanted to die. I wanted to kill myself. I want all kinds of things that I wanted her dead. There was all kinds of things I dealt with. But I thank God that I have a mother that supported me and knew her son. I have friends who knew me, and I have God. I can't speak for anybody, but I have, who allowed me to go through this thing and deal with my emotions, accept what they were. And no, I don't, the children, the mother my children dead. No, I'm over being angry in that aspect. I just can say that I don't know that I will ever trust her in the act when it comes to me again. And it's made it very difficult, because you start questioning everything when you made a life-changing decision to build a life with someone, to make it publicly known that this is what you're doing, and deal with all the ridicule that came from that, because people can be nasty. I went through email messages. Do you know who you marrying, to her, and different things of that nature? And, I told her the truth. She knew. So to now get this regurgitated, and lack of better words, in my face, it's like, what the did I do all this for? Excuse my language.
Right. And it was hurtful for
I built
you.
a life. We had home at.
Right. Huh? It was hurtful for you, man.
Thank
you so much for sharing that, Lamont. I really appreciate you bringing on your vulnerability. Last quick question, guys, and if you can give me a quick answer, what would be your advice to people who are interested in being in porn, and joining this industry, that is not easy? What is your advice? Edgar, I'm going to start with you. You said you're on top, and it's time for you to move out the way and let the new folks do it. So what is your advice to the new folks?
Let me be honest with you. A lot of this new stuff, I'm about as lost as maybe you are. I came up in a different era. I'm listening to these guys, and it would not be something that I would recommend. Let me put it that way. I think that it's important that you go to school. I would recommend that you go to school and get your education, or go to some trade, get some type of trade to better yourself. That would be my recommendation. And that's for many, many different reasons, because everybody's not as strong as I am. And you're going to go through some things, some challenges, and people will use that against you. And if you're not strong, it'll bring you down into a very extreme depressive state. You you'll run into people who say they want to get to know you, but they really don't want to get to know you. They want to encounter with you. And I think, my ex, he just passed, Flex Dion Blake. Just funeralized him last week in Florida. Loving, even after the relationship, we were close. We talked about these things. What would you say to the next generation? Would you, if you had to do it all over again, would you do porn? Would I do porn if I had to do it all over again? No. I think one of the main reasons, and I want to put this out there, is that people, when you want to get to know somebody, and you've done porn, you put your name out and you become popular, it's almost hard for an individual to get past that actor, that character, and get to know you as a person, as an individual. So for myself, it's very difficult in dating and getting to know. So I'm going to leave it at that. But it wouldn't be anything that I would recommend, not on my behalf. And they're not paying any money anyway. Not today. Not like it was when I was in porn. Baby, they got the internet, and folks got all kind of free stuff. But you got to remember, when a VHS tape, I don't know if some of y'all were born. But back there in them days, baby, that was money. I got a couple of them here. And I'm going to hold on to them for another 5 more years. And I'm going to auction them off. I'm a businessman.
Lamont, what about you? What is your advice to anyone who's interested in getting into this?
I 1,000%. I know the saying is 100, but I'm gonna say I 1,000% agree, Bobby. I wouldn't recommend it because it does take a strong-minded person. Business-wise, I think I had it down pat in some ways. Personal, I lived on some levels. I think when it comes to personal relationships, it's been a hell of a battle. And I'm in a space now, about to be 45 in a few months. I'm okay with me. And what I mean by that is, if I don't, I'm all right. I'm gonna live and keep moving because I'll give that love and respect to my 2 babies, to my kids. But no, I wouldn't, and I agree. They ain't paying what they pay. And some of the stuff I've seen, no. And I'm not talking about it as a person, but it's almost as if a door closed and they just said, "Hey, you want to do this? You want to do this?" And they just grab anything and anybody, and I'm like, "What the hell? No."
Yeah.
I think there was a time where it was, you know what I'm saying? You had to be, and Bobby Blake was Bobby Blake. Sexy One was Sexy One. Skate was Skate. But I know what, me and Bobby had to do, spend time with one another as peers talking to one another. We worked for some of the same people. I respect him and he respected me. We've never had any issues. And I think that there's a difference now in how people do stuff than what we did. But no, I honestly, even though I thought about going back to produce just because of the income, but I don't even know that I want to deal with the headache because my first thing is if you can't come, like I came as a model, meaning on time, ready to perform and do what you got to do, next.
Right.
Because I can be a very strict business person when it comes to that. The business me is totally different from the everyday me because I don't play. My motto was always tell the man to come here with the money and bring me my check. Because if he ain't got it, we got problems.
And divide.
But I never had a problem. I got paid what I was supposed to get paid.
And divide with you being the newest and the youngest of all 3 of you. What would be your advice would be to someone joining? Like he said, they're paying pennies compared to the thousands and thousands of dollars they were offering.
First of all, Sexy One, if you came back and did production, you would make so much money and I would be your first supporter. I agree with both these guys. I would not recommend this. And it's something I do regret, and it's something I feel like a lot of people would regret. It's very rare that you come across somebody that takes this and make bank from it, especially being black. You know, it's not a lot of black models that I know from my generation of, porn. Um, I can name like two, and I watch porn a lot. I can't see a future for them, and they get stuck in this area where it's like you're maxed out in porn. What else is there to do for you? What else is there for you to do now? Like janitorial work. It's your options are very limited, and it's important for you to know who you are when you go into the business, and it's important to know, like Edgar said, it's important to come out when you're at the top. It's come out when you at the top, because when you when you're done and finished you're really not good for nothing. Your mental health is suffering. Your physical health is suffering. Now you're doing drugs. It's sad to say, but I've seen this played out so many times, and it's almost inevitable that it's gonna happen every single time. So it's not. I would personally not suggest it. But I know I'm a hardhead person. If somebody tell me not to do something, I'm gonna do it, because I'm like, why did they tell me not to do it? So there's people out there like that, because when I asked about it before I did it, I asked a few friends. They told me not to do it, and we were all freshmen and sophomores in college in 2004, and I did it anyway. And now they're not saying "told you so," but it's a part of my life now, and doing just signing that paper really did change my life, for the better, but for the worse, but for the better. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Guys,
Okay.
thank you so much for
Yes,
joining
there's
me.
a difference between, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble. There's a difference between a porn star and a porn actor. Because you do porn does not mean you're a porn star.
Right.
I traveled this world, headlined it all stuff all over this, all in Europe and Africa and all this stuff. I built a name. A lot of people have done that. Some have done that. And when these young folks with all these, I'm a porn, no, you're a porn actor. So I'm probably gonna get in trouble. I gotta tell you the truth. You don't control the industry. You haven't traveled anywhere. You're not known. They're not spending money to fly you anywhere. You're a porn actor. When you become a porn star, you have power to control who you're going to be with, the money you're going to make. You have your name flashing on a billboard, welcoming you, Amsterdam and all them countries. That's what you're a porn star.
Amen.
But baby, all the rest of these folks ain't even porn actors. I'm going to close on that note.
All right, and that's how you close the show, Edgar. And Edgar drops the mic. All right, guys, thank you so much, Edgar, Devon, Ela Muntz, for joining me for this segment. Viewers, thank you for watching and supporting. Make sure you join us next week for another episode of Outspoken. We will be speaking with two thruples and poly families. One is also raising a child. They have two women and one man, and the other couple is three men, and they call themselves polyamorous couples or thruples. We'll also be joined by Dr. Fern, who is a polyamorous PhD family couples counselor, where she helped polyamorous couples learn how to help their children understand what exactly their family is. So make sure you join us next Thursday. Again, thank you to my guests. Thank you to my viewers, and we'll catch you again next week. Make sure you stay outspoken.